Welcome to Traveler's Tales. I am your host, Greg Alonzo. Today I will be your guide through history as we take a look at temple prostitution, myth or reality. Moving right along, mythology tells us one thing, while archaeology tells us another. Did the religions of the ancients actually practice prostitution in their temples? Was this some form of fertility rites or divine marriage? The latter being referred to as Heros Gamos. The scholar community prefer the term sacred sex or sacred sexual rites, in these cases where payment for services is not involved. The historicity of literal sacred prostitution, particularly in some places and periods, is a controversial topic within the academic world. Historically, mainstream historiography has considered it a probable reality. This is based on the abundance of ancient sources and chroniclers detailing its practices. However, it must be pointed out that archaeologically, it is difficult to differentiate between true prostitution and sacred prostitution without remuneration. Another view of the practice challenges the veracity of sacred prostitution in these claims and are based on mistranslations, misunderstandings, or outright inventions of the ancient authors. Let's start with ancient Near Eastern societies along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Along their shores are a myriad of shrines and temples which are dedicated to various deities. These centers for worship are known as houses of heaven. The 5th century before the Common Era historian Herodotus, in his accounts, suggests that these ancient societies encouraged the practice of sacred sexual rites, not only in Babylonia and Cyprus, but throughout the Near East. Testimony from other Hellenistic authors also support the claims by Herodotus. Scholars have generally believed that a form of sacred marriage rite, Heros Gamos, was staged between the kings in the ancient Near Eastern region of Sumer, and the high priestesses were practiced. This rite was to honor Ishtar, the goddess of sexual love, fertility, and warfare. The act of the king coupling with the priestess would further establish the king's legitimacy by taking part in this ritual sexual act. The king was required to perform this rite in the temple of Ishtar every year on the 10th day of the New Year's spring festival known as Akitu. However, no specific evidence has survived to prove that sexual intercourse was included, despite many popular descriptions of the habit. While Babylonia, Herodotus also made claim that such sacred rites of sexual intercourse were also practiced. In Hammurabi's Code of Laws, the rights and good name of female sacred priestesses were protected. The one same legislation that protected married women from slander applied to them and their children. They could inherit property from their fathers, collect income from land worked by their brothers. They could also dispose of any properties that they owned. These rites have been described as extraordinary, taking into account the role of women at the time. It has been argued that sacred prostitution was worked by both males and females, and this was the custom of the ancient Phoenicians. The ritual was dedicated to the deities Astarte and Adonis. It was sometimes performed as a festival or social rite in the cities of Byblos, Afka, Baalbek, as well as the Syrian city of Palmyra. Lastly, what of the Hittites? They also practiced sacred prostitution as a part of cult deities. This also included the worship of a cremated person mated to a pair of deities, more specifically, a bull god and a lion goddess. This practice eventually developed into a celebration of the mother goddess who had become prominent. This was because she represented fertility and she presided over human birth. This brings us to the end of sacred prostitution, myth or reality. What do you think? Were such sexual rituals practiced, or are they the product of lies and mistranslations? Thank you for joining us for this edition of Traveler's Tales. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified each time we post new videos. We especially appreciate those of you who become friends of the channel. Until we meet again at the crossroads of folklore and fact, Kartistos.